what's happening, everybody? It's Ike from Flipside Music, and welcome to What the F.A.Q, season 4, episode
12.
Yes. And it all...
One burger and one burger and the tongue tying into...
Yeah, shop. As always, I'm here with Dylan.
Yes.
And welcome to What the F.A.Q, question and answer show, weekly show. You ask questions, we give you an answer. I think that's
We give you an answer and or a ramble, one of the two.
Yeah, it could be, yes.
Or both at the same time.
Heavy rambling.
Yeah, heavy rambling.
Yes. Little sleepy today. No pun intended.
Actually, it's kind of funny the way that worked out. Because actually, yeah.
We saw the band sleep last night.
We saw sleep last night, yeah. And we didn't watch somebody sleep. We saw the band sleep.
That would be creepy.
Yeah, that would be weird.
That'd be very
weird.
Very odd.
Yeah. We watched sleep. Yeah.
Oh, this is just not as exhilarating as I thought.
Yeah, but it was actually really good. This time in particular, I felt like Matt Pike was more on point. Last time I saw him, I don't think he was feeling all that great. So, and it kind of showed just a little bit. But this last time was this was really good. And I don't know, it seemed like I really didn't know what to expect with the Mission Ballroom. It's a new venue in town.
Yeah, well, it's 2-3 years old now. Right?
Yeah, I just hadn't been there yet for whatever reason. I honestly, because of the part of town.
Could have been maybe the pandemic.
Well, yes, yeah, that's a good point. The pandemic and the part of town it's in, it was always just, it seemed a little harder. But now that I've actually been there and gone there, it wasn't that bad. It was pretty easy to get there. And
yeah, for me.
Yeah.
Quick down the 70.
Yes, for me it was actually a shot down Washington. I actually was sort of kicking myself for not taking the bike because everybody that had those just parked pretty much right up front. Yeah. So I could have gone right up to the door almost. Yeah,
so if you're local and haven't been to the Mission Ballroom, it's a sweet little venue.
Yes.
I really liked it.
It was really good sound.
Sound was excellent.
Excellent,
The
yeah.
sleep was loud, though. I mean, that was rumbly.
They were. I was going to say
I expected nothing less.
But but we were just close enough to feel it.
Feel it in the chest.
There was a couple times when...
Except the guy's right in front of us.
Oh, yeah, the Out of Sync trio.
The Out of Sync trio. Oh, my God.
You said was MacGyver?
This is what they look like. Who's it? Joe DeLong? Is he the guy from Blink-182?
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know.
It was him, the lead singer from Blink-182. Oh, I'm high, swang. So it was him. It was MacGyver. Yes. Literally, dude had spiked head. It was perfect MacGyver haircut.
Well, it was weird because that guy was maybe all of 20, 25.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't believe he even had the skinny jeans that ended
and
the white socks that were folded over. He had the whole thing, the shoes, all of it. Even the little tiny sports jacket that doesn't close, even though the guy's paper thin, but he still bought an extra small anyway. It was the whole thing. It was really bizarre to see somebody
It was odd. And then the other guy looked like Rod Stewart, 1980s Rod Stewart. And so I'm sitting there going, why is my childhood what's going on here? And they weren't the only people that had very 80s vibes going on, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man?
Well, it is weird because usually at sleep concerts it's more 70s themed people.
Right, well, there was a lot of metal kids.
Yeah, it's it's
all genres. There's a lot of metal people from all genres.
Yeah.
You could kind of tell because they had the Juggalos. No, not the Juggalos. I just had this conversation earlier and I can't remember. Turbo Juggins.
Turbo Juggins.
Yeah, they were there. There's a whole faction of those dudes around.
Turbo Juggins.
Yeah, look them up.
I guess I don't know.
They're like a motorcycle gang without the motorcycles.
Okay.
Yeah, look it up. If you've never heard of them, Turbo Juggins.
How does that work? Okay.
Just check those guys out. They're like a motorcycle gang without a motorcycle.
Insane Clown Posse, but different.
But not as annoying. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of those dudes. There was definitely 80s style metalheads around.
Oh yeah.
There was definitely.
By and large, though, it's more in the vein of Sabbath.
Yeah, and I think per capita, we probably had the most jean jackets in one place.
Yes.
Last night.
Yeah.
In the city of
Denver.
That was probably the heaviest concentration of jean jackets. Was definitely at Mission Ballroom last night.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this has nothing to do with what the F.A.Q, but...
No, we're just updating on, we had
This is also what you get.
Yeah, we had, in between Earthless and Sleep, all of the rescheduling happened.
In the same week.
Yeah. So, we've seen some really good shows. Yeah, I know.
It's supposed to happen, too, in the middle of this, and they canceled that out.
Well, it sucked, too, because I remember I was looking at it, and I thought it was still on for some reason, and it's still... So, that was disappointing, but...
Very disappointing.
We have seen some great shows in the last week. So
yeah.
Between Earthless and Sleep and Cloudcatcher and everybody.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on now to your very pressing and important questiones.
Yeah.
That's Spanish for
questiones.
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. I'm just kind of filtering through some.
It's like questiones.
Patrick Dubois. We haven't seen him for a while.
Hey, Pat.
Mr. Dubois.
Yes.
Obviously.
What was his Pat's? What was the middle name? Fritz.
That's
Bam.
it, yeah. Fritz. Fritzl. No. Let's see. He asks, how's the shop build out coming along? Because we have not seen Pat for a stretch. Or I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't seen him for a little bit. I
haven't seen him for a few months. Yeah.
Texted him. I've talked to him a little bit, but all plans are in. We're just sitting here in a holding pattern. It's a hurry up and wait situation right now.
Yeah, it's basically purgatory until something lets loose.
Yeah, as far as I know, the city of Denver has us in wastewater management, which I guess is a perfect place for us.
We're in the shit creek.
Right. Yeah. So what you're telling me is Shit Creek is where we are. Yeah. It's perfect. But that's where we are, I guess, in the stage of the permit stuff. In the meantime, obviously we're doing some stuff in this room.
Yeah, we're trying to make use of it to an extent, at least the most we can right now.
So we're trying to do the best here. The warehouse area, I'm working on that too. There'll be some more video as there's more to show. I've been saying that for a year now, but
well, yeah, we really didn't think it would
happening.
Yeah, we really didn't
warrant.
Well, and we had no idea it would take us that long with some of that shit. Like that was unforeseen for sure. I mean, we had forecasted like way worse than what we thought, and it was still a lot worse than we thought in terms of time delays.
Very much, and it looks like it's going to be later than what we're even anticipating now. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? We can get the permits today. Yeah. But once we do start getting the permits and things start
really
justifying in here and getting demolished, then I'm going to start doing a blog like every couple 2-3 days. We'll put something out to show progress, because it really, once we do get the permits, it won't take long. It should be maybe a 6-7 week build out.
Sweet.
And then after that, it's going to take a couple weeks probably to do the finish work, which is going to be building the counters and finishing the counters and slat wall and figuring out how and exactly where our systems are going to be. For the most part, we got a general idea how we're going to do the general workflow of the store, but that
some of those bridges we got to cross when we get to them. So
so that's it. That's where we at.
Yeah. All right. So kind of in conjunction with a discussion from last week, we were talking about sustain when it came to guitars. Like, do heavier guitars have more sustain? Which led into the question from Gorda, which is sustain overrated? No. Okay, no. It is to a point. I mean, I don't know that
you can.
I don't know that it needs to go forever, but it's it is kind of nice when it
make that happen. I had a clever way to say it, and now I totally forgot. But you can create that effect. Sustain.
Yes.
Man-made sustain.
Yeah, man-made. Yeah. You can make
Mustang.
Yes, you too can have artificial sustain. But yeah, no, it's like that's what it would be though, to a point. Like, you're right, you could buy artificial means, like whether it's a freeze or whatever it might be, you can make sustain. So it's not necessarily needed from the instrument. But I do think, especially honestly with the way you play, like I would figure you would say for sure that it's not overrated. Or that was like a double negative, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That it's not overrated because, even like I think
not everybody needs it.
Well, yeah, yes, that's true.
So that's where I've runs into maybe it is overrated.
But even
I'll tell you, some dude that's playing, he doesn't need, because he's playing.
Yeah, but everybody's got to hit a chord or hold a note at some point. And to me, nothing is more frustrating.
Artificial means that.
Yes, but there's nothing more frustrating than when you're wanting to hit that note and really, let it go for a long time. Like nothing's more annoying than when it just drops off.
Yeah,
like to me, like I absolutely hate when you're like, because like yes, you don't need it all the time. You're right. Like depending on the genre, you really don't. But it's annoying as hell when you don't have it. And oddly enough, though, most of the instruments that are known for sustaining are also the ones featured in a lot of the. I mean, up to a point. You know, most modern guitars are not like the classic stuff, but a lot of metal up to a point historically was on like Gibsons and a lot of stuff that would have a lot of sustain. So
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's genre dependent, but I still think. I don't know. I still think the sign of a good guitar is if it resonates and sustains on its own pretty well.
That's a different thing. So I agree.
And then the other thing is, I think too, the other reason sustain's not overrated is fuzz. Fuzz and sustain and like having a fuzz pedal that just sustains into like that's the most fun thing. Yeah. Yeah, they're best friends.
There again, artificially inseminated. No, that's not. No, that's not. No, that's not it. Never mind.
All right, yeah. Back up, Mike. I'm seeing that.
You know, I made this thing, then they artificially inseminated it all over the place. I think that's disseminated.
Artificially disseminated.
All right, moving on. Sorry.
All right, let's see. Next one is from Matthew Anderson.
What's up, dude?
He said he'd actually been into the shop recently and played 3 or 4 guitars in our shop.
Thank you much.
And said they were all, pretty solid in terms of adjustment. So he was wondering,
that's how we do it.
Obviously, if we do anything ahead of time, which, of course we do in terms of everything before
it's mentioned it.
Yeah, we have. But his other main question aside from that was he said that he did stop into GC the other day and played looked like 3 or 4 of their basses. And he said a lot of them had wildly different action, pickup height, and all that. Said most of them were trash, so it made him appreciate the store even more, which goes into the question of like even with the used stuff, like how much, like how far do we go with each item? Because this is something that's actually been coming up a fair amount with Sam. Yeah, because like Sam's been getting some like really great reviews lately, mentioning like he's treating low end budget guitars as if the same way he would a $2,500, $3,500. Yeah. So like I do think people do wonder sometimes like how much effort we do. Like is it proportioned to the amount or the expense of the guitar?
It is not. No, we do the same thing for all the guitars. And I think we went over this relatively recently within the last few weeks on an F.A.Q.
Yeah, I think this is sort of getting into the specifics of like, do we, no,
we don't change the procedure because one's more expensive than the other.
Right.
So even the inexpensive like Squire bullets that come in, Sam goes through them, checks the electronics, does the fret ends, if some frets are high and need to be pressed back in or leveled a bit individually. I mean, we go through the whole thing. At the end of the day, we're trying to sell these things. And of course, we want to give people the tools that are working. It's like, why would you buy a car that has a tire that's almost completely flat?
Right.
I mean, what's the use of buying the damn thing if you got to go get it repaired or something else has to happen? But we also offer some services after the sale too, as far as adjustments within 30 days or anything like that. We do have another program that we're working on locally that's going to go into effect. I don't know, maybe once we get into the new place. Basically, what I'm trying to do is if we sell a guitar, we're going to give you a certificate for basically a free setup within a year, because no matter where you live, weather affects your instrument, and especially here in Colorado because we have these crazy swings and it's dry as shit out here and all that kind of stuff. It's every year, twice a year, the guitars all are like
Well, definitely. Like when we go right into the first part of winter, it's real bad because like everything dries out even worse than it is because it's already dry here. But once the heaters kick in, and that's one thing. Like if you live anywhere in a dry climate, humidify your instruments because like it'll save you so much money when it comes and time and pain. Because honestly, like this guy came in the other day. Had this really great tailor, and I was about to send him over to, because it was like high end, and I was about to send him over to Folklore Center because the thing, if it had been in let's say if it had not had the issue that it had, it would have been worth probably in the neighborhood of like $9,000 or so.
Yeah.
And I was like, not something we were going to deal with, but I was going to send him that way. But I started looking at it, and he hadn't had it that long, but he had a huge crack right up the center of it because he hadn't been humidifying it. And I mean, that's, you know, one crack on that's literally thousands and thousands of dollars off of one of those guitars. So it's like, yeah, you can get it fixed and all that, but it's like it would have been better to just humidify it from the get-go and kind of be spared. But anyway.
So anybody that's moving to a drier climate, so if you live in New York or something like that, and you move to Colorado, you got to humidify your acoustic guitars. I mean, your electrics as well.
Yeah, because
not nearly as bad because those will settle in easier.
Right.
But if you're moving from the east or the south or anything like that and coming out to Colorado, so I'd say Colorado, even New Mexico, Arizona,
even
Nevada,
even like southern Idaho and
Utah, probably part. You know, like anywhere in the West, check the average humidity because we see it all the time where acoustic guitars come in and it's somebody that was from back east and
either the top is coming off or the bridge is separating or it's cracked or it has the Rocky Mountain hump where the fretboard, because it's starting to separate at the bottom and at the top but not in the middle, gets this crazy wave to it. But yeah, and all that stuff, but it all kind of goes into, in terms of this question, was like the used gear, like even like low end pieces we have that do leave, like we still have Sam, give it a quick once over before
we ship it.
Yeah, because it's like we'd rather make sure, like regardless of the instrument, that the customer's happy with it. And if they're not happy with it because it's just not for them, that's one thing. But if they're not happy with it because we send it out with an issue, then that looks bad on us, and that's a totally different set of problems that we don't want to have.
Yeah. And what happens is we're able to mitigate any of those issues prior to even going on the floor.
Right.
So Sam gives a one, not saying that we don't miss things and that guitars don't adjust.
But also things happen on the floor too.
Yeah, things happen. Things happen just because they're out on the floor. Right. There again, it goes to the weather. But we have we're able to mitigate a lot of those issues prior to that because we're like, oh, this has got a crack or from shipping, or this has a twist in the neck, or it can't be done, or there's just problems, and then that way we could send them back right away to get a replacement.
Yes.
Instead of it sitting on a counter or sitting on a shelf somewhere and not knowing about it until it got sold online or it's time to go on the floor. So everything gets checked.
Yeah, it's in our best interest.
No matter how expensive or inexpensive it is.
Right, because it's in our interest and the customer's interest to have it be solid. So. Yeah. Yeah. All right, last questions from Mr. Coombs, Mr. Ben Coombs.
Mr. Ben Coombs, our preferred Canadian YouTuber.
He says, question for this week is, do you prefer a head and cab or a combo amp? And do you hear a major tonal difference between the two? I think we've sort of done this before, but getting into the tone, it's fine. I mean, not from him specifically, because I think Ben thinks I'm always like giving him shit when I say that he's repeated a question. Yeah, I don't think we've had this one from him necessarily, but we have.
Ben could repeat.
He could, yes. But I'm just saying, I'm not trying to beat him up about it.
He in a lot of
a lot of shrubberies.
Beverages.
Yeah, he partakes in a lot of shrubberies.
Yeah, in shrubberies.
Yeah, he's very fond of shrubberies and
So it's quite possible that he forgot he asked us.
No, yeah, this one I don't think necessarily we've had from him, but it is a good question because I mean it is what the fact, so they are going to be frequently asked questions. So, it is a good one. I mean, I definitely am head and cab. I think you're more of combo for ease.
I'm more combo because a couple reasons. Ease, yes, I'm tired of making a lot of trips, number one. But there again, then I do know what I'm getting out of the speaker. So if you do head and cab, the fun part of a head and cab is you can switch that. You can switch that cab around if you want.
Well, that, and to me, the reliability of knowing your speaker and your cabinet too, like knowing that this is what.
But you get that in a combo too, though.
So. Yeah, but you can't do anything about it.
Well, that's where I was going to say. That's the plus with the head and cab situation, is that you could change that out and change the dynamic of that amplifier.
Well, because you
could do it in a combo too. It's just much more of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Well, like Mesa Boogie amps, particularly like the Mark. I love Mesa Boogie cabinets. But nothing beats a Mark going into a Marshall cabinet. For whatever reason, like those two just they meld really, really well, better than like the cabinet that I think was, you know, designed for the head itself. So to me, like that's the fun of having the cabin combo thing is like you can
experiment too.
Yeah, and like if the amp is doing something that, you know, that not necessarily that you want to change, but if you want to shift something frequency wise, if you have a cab, you know, you can even do like 2 different speakers in the same cabinet to give you some variant, especially like with the V30, you pair a V30 with like a scooped speaker. The 2 together sound great. Separate, they might not sound great alone, but together, you know, by the combined power of the 2, you get a lot better sound. And I think heads and cabs in that regard, well, yeah, I mean, I still think even though my shit's heavy, having the dolly, like, yeah, it is a pain in the ass to move, but with the dolly, it really doesn't make too much of a difference now.
Yeah.
Because it's really not on me. Like, yeah. Yeah, no, I get, it's definitely less trips for sure. But,
not like I'm making any trips right now anyway. So
I'm not either right now, but yeah, it's one of those things like, I do feel like a lot of people do keep giving up more and more stuff, and like a lot of live tones are suffering because of it, though. Because like I think combos just don't. Yeah, because combos just don't like. Yeah, when they're mic'd, it's cool and everything. Like the people, you know, that's fine. But when you're in a smaller spot with a band, like hearing them,
you
with
still
like,
want to be able to lean into the sound. And
yeah, you want to feel that. Like yeah, like even well, honestly, last night was a perfect case of that. Like yes, we could hear the PA, but where we were at, you could still feel the.
Yeah, we could still feel the bass in your chest.
Right. Yeah, you could still feel that coming off the rig, and it's like that's to me like that's part of the experience that you lose. Like it takes you out of it, or it takes me out of it personally if that's not present. So
that's
I think
why earplugs.
Yes. Well, yeah, yeah. I'm always actually kind of fascinated by people that never play loud enough to need earplugs. Because I'm like, man, that's...
How is that? Yeah.
That's sad.
It's fun. Well, I'm just saying it's fun to play loud.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how people just don't do a lot of that. Don't have the earplugs available. Because, man, I've been to some shows where I'm like, I should have. I remember going to see, was it Gary Clark Jr.? Might have been Gary Clark Jr. Or maybe it was Zappa. I don't remember. But the opening act had like, he was doing kind of like the Black Keys thing. So he had like a super and then like smaller amps that kind of went down like this. And they were all just juiced.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what it was, but it was like Archimedes fucking light laser, but with sound. And it must have been directed right to where, and I was on the other side of the room, and it felt like the shit was
piercing into your ear.
It was melting my face, and I was like, how? Those all must be dimed.
Yeah.
They had to be. But anyway, I don't know where I was going.
Well, no, I mean, but I guess getting into Ben's question, what is the main difference tonally? I mean, other than the speakers, I do think combos... Depends on the combo, because I mean, there's certain ones, but then you're just traipsing into like somebody just made a combo so big that it was basically a cabinet with an amp. It's basically just a two, you know, like when you get into twin size, it's like you may as well just have a head and cab, I think. Like if you're going to go above.
At that point, yeah, you might as well just have a cab, a 212 cab, and a head.
Yeah. But yeah,
and then you could go vertical and it's more this way.
Right.
So, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I think overall combos tend to, I mean, just by default, they do tend to sound a little smaller because they can't physically put out as much volume and sound and disperse it the way a cabinet can. At the same time, though, I do think combos have, sometimes they have maybe, I don't want to say more character, that's not maybe the right word, but sometimes they do kind of have a unique quality to them that you wouldn't get, you know, because like some of those smaller old school like tweed amps and stuff, like those have a sound because the cab and the whole thing, it's all working as one
system.
Yeah, exactly.
It works as a system.
Yeah, it's all working as a system. So it has that unique quality to it. Whereas I feel like when you're in a head and cab situation, you're usually looking more for consistency. Because like too, I think a lot of people that move to heads and cabs are also trying to not damage their tubes all the time because, you know, combos rip through tubes way faster than heads and cabs do. So just by having all that, you know, that rattling.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Having your
the rattling. Rattling.
Have all your stuff get rattled every night. Okay.
Yeah, that's the proper. All right. Well, I think that is pretty much it.
I think that's it. Right?
Yep. Yeah, I think we're out of questions this week. So that That was a good one. Although, actually, one weird one. Have you ever, no, because I think it is interesting, and it's sort of a question if anybody in the audience wants to answer too. Recently cleaned the pot on, did I say this recently? No? Okay.
I cleaned pot cleaning story.
Yeah. So I cleaned the pots on pickles recently, and not only was there a huge tonal shift, but this weird little bit of feedback that I was getting quite, damn it, did that just click off?
It sure
See,
did.
we should have cut it off.
Should have just said goodbye, but now we have black screen and nobody knows what's going on. Oh, now I'm back. And
everybody looks
now the color needs to get readjusted too because it's very
it
comes back
right
on
now.
Very Caucasian.
Yeah. So, yeah, like we look like pasties
until it equals itself out.
Anyway, cleaned out the pots, and a weird feedback issue that I'd been literally having for years at this point went away. So, have you ever had anything where like you cleaned a pot and there was not only a tone shift, but like feedback gone? So, if you guys have ever had that, let us know. I didn't know if you'd ever actually experienced that either, though.
I don't clean shit.
Well, no, but I mean, like, well, yeah. But like, have you ever had a pot like you thought? Well, and what was weird too is like I thought the pot was one of those like, you know, rotated very slowly because it always had kind of that feel, and now it's like all loosey goosey. So it's like something was definitely like not happy in there. But what shocked me was like the feedback part of it. It's not that it's completely gone, but a huge part of that is
big difference though.
Yeah, and so like that is completely mysterious to me because like usually I would attribute feedback to the like the pickup itself, not the pot. So anyway, weird thing.
Well, let us know if you guys have had anything like that happen. I have.
Yeah, because nobody else has been able to tell me why that might be a thing. So maybe one of you guys knows.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it.
Hive mind.
Yeah, use the hive mind.
Yeah.
All right. Our 67 people or whatever can tell us.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're good.
Yep.
We'll catch you guys on the flip side.